Hello, and welcome to the English with Colin Podcast, a podcast for English language learners. My name's Colin. I'm an English teacher in Tokyo, and if you're looking to improve your English skills and gain more confidence in your ability to communicate in English, you've come to the right place. In these episodes, I'll provide you with short conversations in English that cover a range of topics, from everyday situations to more specialized subjects. These conversations are designed to help you practice your listening skills and pick up new vocabulary and grammar along the way. Regular listening practice is key to improving your English, and I hope this podcast will become a valuable resource for you on your language learning journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. And remember, the more you listen, the more you'll learn. This is episode 29, and the topic of today's episode is Journey to Japan, how Tokyo became our home. Hello, Sue.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about how we ended up in Japan. Because you're from Mexico, I'm from Scotland, but we live in Japan. It's a bit of a strange situation. So I guess it kind of starts with me. I came to Japan in 2005 on the JET program, the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, which is a government program to promote exchange, cultural exchange. And they do this partly by bringing young people over to teach at schools, elementary schools, junior high schools, also some high schools. And these people come in as assistant language teachers. There are other things you can do in the JET program, but I think most people who come on the JET program come as ALTs, assistant language teachers. So I came in 2005. I lived in Niigata, which I knew nothing about before coming to Japan. And Niigata is a very rural prefecture of Japan, and I lived in the countryside. So around where I was living, it was rice fields as far as the eye can see. And then after the rice fields, there's mountains. So it was proper countryside, which was a bit of a shock for me because I had been living in London before then. So I went from London to the deep, deep countryside of Japan, which was beautiful. I was there for 3 years, had a great time, met some really nice people. And then after those 3 years, I came back to Scotland, went back to Scotland to do a master's degree in English teaching because I wanted to teach at a higher level. Teaching the elementary school, junior high school was starting to get a little bit repetitive. Year after year, you're teaching the same stuff, and I wanted to kind of teach at a higher level, possibly at university. So I came back to do a master's degree in English teaching, and I had the plan of going back to Japan, specifically to try to work in a big city. So I had the countryside experience, and this time I wanted to come back to Japan to try living in a city, and ideally Tokyo. That was the plan. But we met in Scotland.
Yes, I went to Scotland to do my master's as well.
Right.
Not in language teaching, but it was more of it was another master's. But
you did publishing.
I did publishing studies, yeah. But yeah, we met there, and then I stayed in Scotland with a student working visa.
Yeah, so after doing your master's degree, you had a visa for 2 years to work in Scotland, or in the UK.
They had that program, post-study working visa. So you just needed to say, well, to prove that you've studied at a higher level, and they would allow you to work for a couple of years. So I stayed in
Glasgow.
Scotland. I stayed in Glasgow, yeah.
Right. So I wanted to try to sell the idea to you of maybe coming out to live in Japan. And you came to visit. I had come out again. I was living in Niigata again. And you came out to visit. It was winter.
It was winter, yes.
You came out to Niigata to visit me in winter. And it was a bit of a journey. Just coming to visit was a journey.
Yes, it was a very cold winter in the UK. So I wasn't sure I was going to make it to the airport.
Yeah, it was really, really cold, lots of ice. So even just getting from your apartment in Glasgow to the airport was uncertain.
Yes.
I think even the taxi driver who took you, he wasn't sure he was going to be able to get.
No, because the roads were...
were they closed?
No, but they were frozen. So
Right, okay.
It was very, well, with ice. So it was very dangerous. So at the time, a lot of supermarkets, they had nothing because they couldn't be...
Things weren't being delivered.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So yeah, just getting to the airport was a journey. But so when you arrived, I remember when you arrived in Tokyo, you were completely dazed. You didn't really believe that you had arrived.
No, it was. I think I was taking one step at a time. So can I get to the airport? And I got to the airport. Is the airplane going to leave Glasgow?
Right.
And it did. And then I had a connection in Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
It was also very cold. So before the takeoff in Amsterdam, our plane had these two things. It was at night. Two machines that were just spraying some sort of liquid.
They were de-icing it.
Exactly.
De-icing the plane, yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just one step at the time, just trying to deal with whatever was coming my way.
So you came to visit. I think you were here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, perhaps.
And I had my job was to try to sell Japan to you, and we traveled around. We went down to Kyoto.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Nara as well. I think we went to Nara. Obviously we were up in Tokyo, and then out to Niigata in deep, well, not deep winter, but enough of a winter. It was probably the most...
It was proper snow.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we had a nice time traveling around. And for you, Japan was never a place that you had thought of traveling to or living in, or...
No, even traveling to, no.
So
less living.
At the time, you're talking about nearly 20 years ago. No. Sorry. 2008, 9.
Mm-hmm.
Japan was not somewhere that people from Mexico really thought about. It was difficult to get to from Mexico, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a good community
in Japan now
of Japanese in Mexico.
Okay.
There's a good community. There's a strong community, but it's a community. If you know somebody, you might know them, but not necessarily. So I wasn't very aware of the community. I knew there was one, but I wasn't close to them.
Okay, so you didn't really know a huge amount about Japan. So.
No. This is when a little bit of sushi kind of started making its way outside Japan
to Mexico.
To Mexico.
Right.
So it's very, very early days. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I came to visit, and yeah, my just to see how it was, enjoy it, but also try to have an idea of how different or how difficult it would be for me to live in here. But everything was so smooth that I thought, I can do this.
Okay. So I did my job.
Absolutely.
I did my job. So I ended up getting a job in Tokyo. I was teaching academic English.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do your own thing. You wanted to come here kind of with your own purpose.
I came with my own visa, yes. So my idea was be here, but to do my thing, and keep growing myself. So I worked really hard. I already had the idea, but getting a place to study my PhD. I already had my topic, and it was like destiny, because the PhD that I found and the professor that took me in, it was perfect match. I couldn't have asked for a more, supportive and understanding and connected to my ideas.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting because I don't know how much research you did, but this university, Keio University, which is one of the top universities in Japan. It was, the timing was perfect. You even went down to London from Glasgow and met with representatives.
Yeah, well, I was
Keio.
studying their webpage to really understand the graduate school. I saw that, the dean of the graduate school was in London, and open to give a little chat about the graduate school. And I was like, sure.
So you went down and you spoke one-on-one with the dean.
Yes.
Of the graduate school in London.
I thought it would be a bigger event. So I thought, if I can just, make a question and make myself noticeable, right?
Nice.
That would be fine. But it was very, very small. It was myself, another girl, and a professor that was going to teach for a year with them or something like that.
Okay.
So I ended up having a full conversation, explaining what I wanted to do. It was perfect.
Okay. So and so you came over to study, and I was working in Tokyo. And we managed to get a place in Shinjuku, quite centrally, which was it was perfect, because it was great to be just in the middle of everything when we first arrived to Tokyo.
Yes,
to really kind of get the full experience, if you like.
Absolutely. You want to be in amongst it, you want to be close to where everything is happening, and that helped us to just go and discover. It was easy to go out and discover. Yeah. So that was important.
I remember the first night, because I arrived a couple of months before you, maybe.
Maybe a couple, yeah.
So I was kind of in the apartment in Shinjuku. And I had been to Tokyo many times, but I didn't know Tokyo. I didn't know what life in Tokyo would be like. And I remember sitting on the balcony of the apartment looking south, and the view from the apartments was beautiful. It was looking straight towards all the skyscrapers of the skyscraper district of Shinjuku, and just seeing the red lights at the top of all the buildings just kind of pulsing, almost like a heartbeat. Just kind of thinking to myself, okay, what have we done? Like, there's just seems to be so much kind of life out there, and we kind of knew so little about what was going to be required. So I remember sitting there and having a beer, thinking, okay, this is going to be different. So I arrived a few months earlier. You told me, don't do anything, as in don't redecorate, don't change anything. because you wanted to take control as the designer of the family. You wanted to take control of the design. So yeah, I kind of lived in a very basic situation for a couple of months, waiting for the designer to come and decorate everything. But that's how we ended up in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been 10 years in Tokyo, just about 10 years in Tokyo. Yeah. We live a bit further west now, but still Tokyo, just on the edge of Tokyo. So yeah, that's how it happened. And yeah, it's been good. It's been a fast 10 years.
It has, yeah.
A lot has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been good fun. So yeah, if people have the chance to, it doesn't even have to be Japan, but just going and living in a foreign country for a long time. It doesn't have to be 10 years, but just, go for 6 months, go for a year, and really sort of see what life is like in a different place. I think it's really valuable, because if you go for a holiday somewhere, you can get some understanding of what life is like, but you need to be there for months. You need to make friends. You need to kind of experience different times of year to really kind of understand about the place. And I think you learn a lot about yourself as well. Like, are you, can you take care of yourself? Can you problem solve?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things. So yeah, it's been good fun. You've had good fun?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the English with Colin podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation and found it helpful in your language learning journey. Remember, the key to mastering a language is regular practice. So make sure you listen to our podcast regularly and keep honing your listening skills. We appreciate your support and feedback. So if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future topics, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You can find our contact information in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to joining you again next time for another conversation in English. Until then, keep practicing and take care.